What happened to Rodriguez? This tour guy.
Okay, we're ready, Josh.
Wonderful. Okay, let's call to order. It's a 6:04 p.m. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Really?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alba, would you do roll call, please?
Sure. Councilmember Yaffe?
Here.
Councilmember Tricoche?
Here.
Councilmember Salver?
Here.
Councilmember Reed?
Here.
Councilmember Leonard?
Here.
Vice Mayor Fuller?
Here.
And Mayor Bruder will join us, I guess, in a few.
Okay, wonderful. Melissa, are you on the call? I don't see you on the list here, but I'm assuming you are. If you would, for number one.
I'm on the call, Josh. This is Marlene.
Oh, perfect. Marlene, I didn't know you're there. Fantastic. If you would start with
Melissa is on the call or on the
Sure.
meeting.
The number one is discussion and possible action on the finalists for the position of a town manager. We have 6 finalists: Stephen Alexander, Kathy Brooks, Glenn Cullen, Stanley Hawthorne, Maria Lasley, and Chris Steers.
Okay. Colin had provided us, I know, a recommendation that we all vote and narrow it down to 2 tonight. I'm sure that some of us put in votes, some probably did not. And I wanted to start the discussion right now as far as everybody's thoughts. But before we do, I wanted to ask Colin if we do have any votes that he's received at this point.
Colin is not here this evening. I'm taking his place. I'm Rick. Thanks for the honor to be here. Linnell would have the latest information from the candidates. From council. Linnell, would you jump in?
Yes, I have received votes from 2 of the council members, and I'm ready. I can share that, the spreadsheet online whenever you're ready.
Yeah, if you would, please, just so we see where we're starting from.
Sure. Okay,
Okay, I gave you access, Leno. You can do so now. You can share your screen.
okay, great.
Okay.
So these are the votes that I have received so far.
So only Kelly and I put in our votes?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask the members of council right here. Let's start off. Actually, so we've got Elizabeth, you put it in, and Kelly, you did as well. Isaac,
Yes,
what
sir.
are your thoughts? Okay, what are your thoughts right now as we continue the discussion?
Well, my thoughts are that I think any of those 6 names on this list would make not only a good town manager, but a great town manager. I thoroughly enjoyed speaking to each and every one of them, and each and every one of them have a very, very broad skill set that they could apply to our town. And it pains me greatly, and I say this with full sincerity, to have to choose amongst this awesome group of people. I guess because of everything in the environment that's going on, we have the luxury of having 6 more than qualified people as candidates for the town manager. That being said, it was very, very difficult to give each and every candidate their rankings because, all of them were unique, but they all possess the great skill set that we need. But if I have to choose 2 of these wonderful 6 people, I would probably have to go with Stanley Hawthorne and Kathy Brooks.
Okay. Okay. Bob?
I have to say that I agree 100% with everything that Isaac just said. So I'm not going to repeat everything that Isaac just said. But we have 6 excellent semifinalists, and I think that all of them would make a good town manager for Bay Harbor Islands. So it's very difficult to narrow it down. I'm thinking. I would say that if I have to narrow it to the two, Kathy Brooks and Christopher Steers.
Okay. And as we go down this list, obviously we can all discuss everybody as we continue. Jordan, your thoughts?
Sorry, I had to unmute it. So, hi. I too was very impressed by all the candidates. I found each of them to have some core qualities, but at the same time, some individual qualities. Some stood out better than others. My two people are Mr. Steers and Mr. Alexander.
I know that for me, this was also a very, very difficult decision. I very much enjoyed the opportunity to meet all 6 of these candidates. And I have to say, I was thrilled with the fact that we were given the opportunity to look at 6 very well qualified candidates. This was not easy. I did my own, like most of you, I did my own internal ranking. And there wasn't much difference from 1 to 6, to be honest. Any one of these people were great. But if I have to narrow it down to 2 right now, Maria Lasday and Chris Steers were my 2 top choices.
Hi.
Oh, now we got Stephanie.
Hi.
I couldn't get on for nothing in the world. So I guess I'm last to pick. So I also agree with everybody. I, of course, have 3, but they're all very much. One of them is Maria. I thought she was articulate. She's a lawyer. She's dealt with police issues. And then the other 2 were Stanley and Christopher. They're both equally, for me, either one of them would have been amazing and great. So all of them have hurricane preparedness. They've all understand South Florida. And I can't tell you how much I enjoyed talking to all of them. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, well, Stephanie, that puts us in a situation. I don't know if anybody, I mean, it's your meeting at this point now that you're in, how you want to run it. We've all put in 2, you put in 3. Let us know how you want to arrange this.
Well, this is the thing. Do you want to bring down 3 people? Because when I first talked to Colin, he had suggested to bring down 3 people because, it might not work out with the first, it might not work out with the second. And so he had suggested to me at the time to pick 3 people out of and bring down 3. Do you want, I mean, I can narrow it down, but do you want it to be under 2, or do you want to go to having 3 just in case one doesn't work out? I mean, when we did Ron, we ended up with 3, and then we narrowed it down because when negotiations went through. Do you remember that, Bob?
Yes, and I would prefer 3.
I agree.
So,
And
Kelly, do you agree to 3?
I have to tell you that at this point, that we'd all submit.
Did anyone else lose Kelly, or is it just me?
Yes, she's
I
frozen.
lost her.
I feel like I can never tell on these Zooms if it's just me or if it's everyone.
No, we lost her.
Okay, well, while she comes back, Jordan, are you okay with 3? And Isaac, because we've done it before where we've had 3. Hello?
Can you hear me? All I can see is the screen. But what I was saying is the process has changed. And I'm a little taken aback that Elizabeth and I followed the rules. We let you know in advance. And I was under the impression that this would be a straw poll it would be tabulated. But, you know, the fact that 5 council members subsequent to my straw poll, now people are picking and choosing, and I just, it leaves me with a very uneasy, uncomfortable feeling about this procedure, how we got here.
I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Everybody picked, you know.
Well, but
except
we're all
for me.
supposed to pick individually, and the instructions were clear. We were emailed the instructions. We were to give it to the consultant, and then he would present this, and it would all be a surprise. But
Corey,
I think
No,
it's
Kelly,
tainting.
I really disagree with that. I'm not taking instructions from Colin Benziger or anybody else, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm comfortable with having an open meeting and having an open discussion as we are now. And frankly, not everybody submitted ahead of time, you know, on the first go round either. So,
Kelly, also, let me throw this out there. If you read the instructions, and it was originally, it said, if you wish, it also said, if you wish, pick 5 out of the 6. It wasn't until today when I notified them that they had mistyped. It was a typo or whatever, so that we weren't supposed to pick 5 out of the 6 and only pick 2. And even when I spoke with Alba earlier, I even asked, is this something that is mandatory or is this still just a suggestion? And she agreed with me at that time that this was a suggestion. It's not necessary for us to submit at the time. We can discuss it today.
Well, last time we got this big snapshot in a hurry, and Isaac kind of went before. So in my opinion, it was done differently. And, you know, I'm not, it's,
Well, do you want to change your vote?
No, absolutely not. Listen, I did my homework from the beginning. I was prepared for this last time. I'm prepared now, but I'm just saying it's a little bit different than last time. And also, you know, if we're not going to take suggestions from Colin Benziger, why did we hire him? We could have, you know, had staff do it. So I'm just telling you, I'm uncomfortable right now with the way it's done. That's my 2 cents.
I understand. Are you uncomfortable with the fact that all of us did not vote ahead of time? Because what Colin gave us was excellent representation of different managers, which is what we wanted from him. The fact whether we voted before and then had the discussion, I think for me is very secondary to the fact that we have, like Bob, an open discussion. I don't think that
But we can still have
negates-
both. We can have both.
I understand
and
that.
it would be more natural and more organic to see the final results. He did send us a ballot, and he did ask, you know, in advance. Now, does he mandate it? Of course not. He's working for us. I want to get my concerns on the record, and that's all I'm saying.
Okay, that's fine. Isaac?
Well, my thought is that I don't think you should vote for 3. I think everyone else voted for 2, because I think your third vote throws everything off. Now, I'm not saying that that's the final word, and I would definitely be open. I mean, if you think it would be better for the town make it 3 finalists instead of 2, then I guess we should all, you know, vote for 3 people if that's what the council wants. You know, I don't feel as strongly as Kelly about this, you know, the element of surprise, because I think it's clear from the comments that we all did homework and we all did our own analysis. I know I did. So, you know, that's the only thing that's throwing me off, is that one of us voted for 3 people and everyone else voted for 2 people.
That's fine. I'll reduce it by 1 if you would prefer. I'll take Maria off, and then we'll just and that will be fine, since there's no way. I mean, so then we're left with 2 people, which would be.
It's still the same top 3. It would be Kathy Brooks, who has 3, Stanley Hawthorne, who has 3, and Christopher Steers, who has 5. Those are the top 3.
And I would support bringing them all in.
Okay. Does anybody else have any problems with?
No, that's fine. But Isaac, let me understand. Isaac, when you say bringing them in, you're talking about physically bringing them in now during COVID?
Well, whatever the next step would be, to take the candidates 1, 2, and 3, which I think are clear from here. And, well, you know, I don't know whether to bring them in. You know, maybe bringing them in might be an option. You know?
So let me tell you what I talked to Colin about on Friday. I called him and I asked him what would be the next step. His suggestion was this: that we could do, because we do want the public in the past, I know it's different now, but in the past, meet and greet with our constituents so that they could also do you all remember, some of you, how we had like a meet and greet? So what I was thinking that we could do because of COVID was that we could open up the community center, have 3 different places with seats, distancing with masks. We could ask the public, whoever wanted to come, and we could do 10 minutes round robin so that they could actually meet with the finalists. And then we all could meet also with the finalists. We could do it in the community center with social distance. And that was, Colin thought that we came up with that together. And I said, let me talk to the council and see. Because, in the past, we've had community input.
Mayor, can I suggest something?
Sure.
We have camp going on at the community center, and I've been trying to keep everyone, including town hall employees, away from there, just because of the COVID issue. So having the public go there might be not the best solution. The chambers is available for something like that, if you wish. But I would prefer to keep people away from the community center while we're still having camp.
Well, that's a whole other issue.
Another idea, because I get where you're coming from. I want to make sure that as many people can meet and interact with the candidates as possible. I mean, I think that that's super important that we have as much public interaction. What if we did a couple different things? What if we did like a Zoom meeting with either one at a time or all 3 of them? We gave each of them 5 minutes, where they could speak, and we asked the public to submit questions before the meeting, and then we compile them so that the town staff can ask the candidates those questions. So it's more like a panel.
But the thing, I'll tell you what the problem with that, and I've heard a lot of senior citizens do not know how to use Zoom, nor, they're not computer savvy. And so there's a section of our population that unfortunately, and I'm not even as savvy as you can tell, to be able to Zoom. So I think that there could be a component of Zoom for those who don't actually want to come, but there are a lot of senior citizens who are not computer savvy and cannot do Zoom.
Stephanie, I'd have a problem with that, because the fact of the matter is, then we're now encouraging senior citizens to come into an area, even with social distancing, they're increasing their risk. And I'm not comfortable requiring them to do that in order to meet or talk to somebody. I think, unfortunately, given the circumstances, this is a scenario where I'd rather have the equivalent, and we can do it quicker this way as well, rather than them traveling, because we all know we want to do something relatively quick, I would assume, that before we lose some of these candidates. I think if we schedule Zoom is Zoom, and that's really what it is.
But
and
we're leaving,
put out,
I understand that, but you're leaving a whole section of a community out.
Let's hear what Josh is saying. I have an idea.
what I was going to say is this. I think we have an open Zoom meeting. If any, we can also send out through our regular means, through social media and through email and broadcast or whatever else, that if anybody wants to submit a question to Town Hall to be asked at the Zoom meeting if they cannot attend, we will do that. But otherwise, I would schedule for this coming week, an open house equivalent of Zoom separate. I would not put the 3 candidates together. I would do them for the 2 candidates, whoever we end up doing, separate, where it's it could be an hour or 2 hours total or whatever else. And anybody and anyone can go ahead, get on the Zoom call, ask questions, meet and greet. And then afterwards, we have to determine how we want to focus down to the 1 between council. But I would not encourage putting people together.
I have an idea. And this is kind of quirky and cute. If we're going to go with the basic format that Joshua is recommending, I would say let's pick. I think we have our top 3 candidates at this point. Why don't we have each of the top 3 candidates create like a video that we could run as like an introduction to this whole open Zoom forum, and then have whatever community members want to participate, they can be on this open house. It could be an hour and a half, whatever you said, and then have them maybe submit questions in advance. And then we can ask, each of them, have them answer certain questions. Like, at least we can see their creative side. If they have to create a video promoting themselves, let them create a video promoting themselves. Let's see how cool it can be. And
Like
then,
like an advertisement.
like an advertisement for themselves, and we can run that in the very beginning. Maybe they can, maybe after the video, they can, have another, 2-3 minutes each, kind of like a candidates forum, and then open it up to questions from the community.
So I think that's great, but again, like I said, because I've walked Isaac the town, there are seniors who are not computer savvy and don't have Zoom, and they have complained to me, unfortunately, in the past. So
Stephanie, what if we did this for what we're talking about, right? What if then we have TVs in the chambers? What if we had a live, you could come and watch it, socially distanced with a mask on from council chambers, and we would run it there. So if someone does want to come because they're not savvy with Zoom, they could come to council chambers. We would have them sit socially distanced, and we'll stream that Zoom, at that time.
that
Let me offer an alternative to that. Using that same thought process for the stream, I think instead of putting it inside of chambers, I'm not comfortable putting people indoors and circulating in the same air. We have the movie screen, we have the projector that we can do it for. Let's do it in the park next to the community center, outdoors. People can social distance and do it there, where at least there's some fresh air and you're not putting people at risk.
Can we get a tent in case it rains? Because right now it's the rainy season. Just something.
Well, we do what we can. I mean, I can't get it. I mean, quite honestly, I'd rather risk the rain than someone's health inside of a building. It's not worth it to me.
I have a comment. I have my little hand up signal.
Okay, I can't see you. I'm sorry, Kelly.
Well, something happened technology-wise, so I have my video off, but I think you can hear me.
Yes.
If at all possible, if we can use a covered area, like maybe the basketball courts in the school, for weather, and we can really spread everybody out. It could be rainy, it might be a little warm depending on the time of day we do it, but I think outside is always better if we can. And then the other thing I was going to say is, I had asked last time and didn't get an answer, are we obliged to pay travel expenses for the people from out of town? Because I don't think we should.
I don't think we're talking about bringing them down under this circumstance. It would be via Zoom.
Yeah, I don't want to bring them down.
May I speak? Mayor, I'm gonna have to contact the school to be able to access the basketball courts. If that's what we're gonna do, because that's not our property. I I think 95th Street Park, as Josh suggested, is a good suggestion. We can do something else, but
I need a tent.
I don't know how quickly. Yeah, a tent or something. I don't know how quickly they can answer me. Last time it took them forever. So, and I know you want to do this quickly, so we might be able to get a tent out there and have it at the 95th Street Park.
Yeah, my only point of that was just for in case of inclement weather that we have a cover.
Yes.
Marlene, we can always ask. The worst they can say to us is no.
Yeah, but sometimes they take 3 weeks to answer, and you want this to happen next week.
I would love, to be able to do this next week. I think we need to move this process along. And I do want to thank everyone, because I feel like everyone has worked really hard to move this process along, and all of the candidates and Colin and our staff and just the other council members. I know everyone has worked really hard to keep this moving, and I just want to keep that drive.
Let me ask you a question. One of the things that came up during the interviews that I had was that most of the candidates actually physically came to Bay Harbor. Many of them already traveled down here at their own expense and took a tour of the town and looked at the town. I don't think it's really too much to ask for them to come down for us to meet them. I mean, this is our top job for the town. I don't think it's unreasonable. Only 2 of them live out of town. I'd actually be open to having them come down here and meet the individuals one-on-one. I don't think that's off the walls to ask. I mean, this is a really big, important job. It may not be so inappropriate to ask them. I don't think that's off the walls. Does everyone
Yeah,
disagree on that?
I like to meet in person. If given with social distancing and the mask, I mean, there's nothing like looking in person. It's our most important position that we have in town. And I think that meeting them actually in person, just like the first time around, we just did it off of paper. And then we had our second go around. And after talking to them, we've narrowed it down. And I think there's something about actually meeting a person and getting a feeling from them.
I mean,
I agree. I agree with both of you.
Yeah, I mean, I think in normal circumstances, I would absolutely want them to come down. It's just, my concern is people like me, right? Like my husband's an essential worker. He doesn't get tested every day. We don't get results every day. So I think that there's a potential exposure. I mean, I barely leave my house at this point because I don't want to expose anyone to what potentially we could be bringing out. So I under normal circumstances, I would like to meet them. I'm just scared of exposure for the people that will be coming out.
But no, I'm us meeting them directly, one-on-one. I'm not
Stephanie,
talking.
sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
go
I was going to say, I mean, Kathy's local. Chris Steers told me that he would pay his own expenses to come down. I'm pretty sure he's the one who said that. I'm not sure about Stanley. If it's, I mean, it could be hybrid. I mean, if they're able to come down or come to town, we can meet them one-on-one, as you say, socially distanced. Those who want to do that can. Those who prefer to, we could have a personal meeting aspect of this as well as a Zoom aspect of this, so that, members of the community would have the opportunity, as Josh and Isaac said, whether it's in the park or at the school or whatever it is, having a presentation. So you can do a combination.
I agree with you, Bob. Those who want to see them in person, I do. I would like to see them in person. You get a different feeling when you actually meet a person, but we could do a combination of the two, and those of the council who are uncomfortable can do it by Zoom, and those who are not can actually do it in person.
Stephanie, if I may throw one thing in here, I think that puts people, potentially even the candidates, at a disadvantage, or at least some of them, because here's the thing. In an ideal scenario, absolutely, we wouldn't even be having this meeting on Zoom. We'd be sitting in chambers and all talking amongst ourselves. The problem here is we're asking at least two of the candidates to more than likely get on a plane, which I can't recommend to anybody right now, to get on a plane, travel down here, take a risk. Now, if they don't come down, if they say they're not comfortable, they're automatically at a disadvantage to a person or persons who would come down or who are local. And I just don't think that's fair. I think we have to be looking at this fairness all the way for the 2 or 3 candidates, let alone, I can't recommend putting our residents near these people. So I just don't see the purpose of this.
Why don't we ask them? I mean, two of them, one said he'd come down, one is local. I'm not sure about, Stanley Hawthorne, whether he would want or not. I mean, I agree that either they all come or they all don't. But I think we should ask.
I agree.
But that puts Mr. Hawthorne in a strange scenario, because now—
I'm not telling, Josh, I wouldn't say to him, 2 have agreed to come. I would just individually ask them without saying what the others, what the intention of the others are.
Well, I think they're here. I'm sure they're probably listening in on the call.
Well, hold on. If they were to come down and we were to do the face-to-face, but what would then the process look like? Because I understand the process if we're doing Zoom, and a live stream. My brain understands that. But if they're going to come down, what would then that entire process look like?
So it would be one-on-one. So the streaming and what Isaac was talking about was more for the general community. And then the individual one-on-one would be us with the last 3 candidates to have a conversation with them in person. And maybe, a more in-depth conversation. And it's very different on Zoom than actually seeing, like I said from the beginning, in person versus what's on paper. So,
live streaming that then too? Like if we do the one-on-one person?
No, I don't think so. The live streaming
We
is,
can live stream it if it's outside the council chambers.
Then that puts people who don't feel comfortable to come at a disadvantage too.
Right.
Yeah, and if I could just bring one thing to everyone's attention, Amendment 2 to Miami-Dade County Emergency Order 2120 is still in effect with regard to gatherings of no more than 10 persons who aren't family members. So we would certainly, if you were going to have some type of in-person social distancing, you would have to do some rotational, as we would not want to have more than 10 people.
Well, also, Frank, let me ask you something. For the two persons that are potentially coming in from out of town, we also don't, is it not true that we don't know what the regulations or what the restrictions are going to be entering or leaving Florida? In other words, if they try and return, come next week. And it's very possible they could say, okay, now, say they'll come down and then find out that they have to isolate for 14 days because they came to this visit. And that's-
About the isolation, Josh. Maybe as much as I would like to meet them, I mean, that it's going to get complicated if I'm not sure what Florida's regulations are right now. If Northern coming down have to
Yeah,
quarantine.
if you're, they're exempt.
Quarantine for Florida residents.
No, they're actually exempt because under the circumstances, I believe they would be exempt.
well,
So
they all
I-
came down already. They came
Not to
down.
their families. They're not exempt to their families. If they came down and put themselves at risk, and if they have to isolate, I can't do this to people. I don't want to put
Why
any.
don't we ask them what they want to do?
But
Because we're assuming, Josh, they've already come down. And two of the
Yeah.
candidates I know for a fact came down
Yeah,
already.
I understand.
Right.
Someone
So
drove
it's
down
not
and did
like,
it.
it's, I would like to meet them in person. I don't think Zoom is the same thing. You're talking about the most important job in our town.
No, listen, I agree with you on that. I agree with you. I would love to meet them in person, but the problem is this is a different time. And when they came down, they didn't meet with anybody. They drove around, they took a look at the town. We're talking about not only them transporting down on a last minute notice, because we're talking about doing it ASAP, but on top of that, we're telling them we're going to have you, even in social distancing, you're going to be meeting with people. I'm just not comfortable telling people they have to put themselves at risk.
Well, Josh, they'll get a cheap flight.
No, that's yeah, but it's.
Well, wait. First of all, I think Mr. Hawthorne is actually, isn't he in Florida now? Wait a minute.
It would just be Mr. Steers, I think.
It would, right. Two of them are, right. So I think what we need to do is we need to ask them. I think it's either all of them or none of them. I think
And
that's.
Mr. Steers told me he would fly down at his own expense.
Okay,
But you have to ask him again. I'm not going
right.
to.
I mean, I don't, right. But I'm just
Things may have
saying,
changed.
right. But I'm just saying, two of them can be here, and if Mr. Steers is comfortable, and if he's not, we will not do it. But if he's comfortable, social distancing one-on-one, it's one of them and one of us in the chambers even, okay, they're social distancing from one another. I don't think it's that impossible to do. Again, this is the most important position that we are picking, and we need to do it at the,
I understand. You know my thoughts. I just don't want to. I don't want to have that. I don't want to tell people.
Well, okay, you can go back and forth for another half hour, but
Right.
Stephanie, I recommend just take a straw poll of the
Okay.
council
Thank you.
now to see if they want face-to-face or not, and then we can.
Okay. Isaac, what do you want?
I want face-to-face.
Okay, one. Kelly?
I could go either way. I would like a face-to-face, but we have to have about a week-long period to accommodate all of our schedules.
That's fine, but you want face-to-face.
I would like one, but I would be okay with the Zoom as well. And then also the face-to-face, having that outside meeting accommodates members of the public.
Okay. Bob?
I would prefer face-to-face if it's possible.
Okay. Jordan?
Face-to-face.
Elizabeth?
Alba, aren't we allowed to speak and have
One
public
second.
comment?
We're not there yet. We're not at public comment yet,
You're
Mrs.
doing a
Newhart.
full
We will
call.
call you.
You need to wait, Ms. Newhart.
Under normal circumstances, I would say face-to-face. My concern is that we're in a
Okay,
pandemic.
but you have to pick.
So I am, and I'm saying I am opposed to a face-to-face.
Okay. Josh?
I'm in the same boat. The fact is, normally I would want face-to-face. I'm opposed to bringing anybody.
Okay,
bringing
and I'm
anybody.
for, right, and I'm for face-to-face. So we are 2 opposed and the rest of us are for. So I guess now it's up to Alba and Marlene to see if we can work this out. Please make sure if it takes us an extra week, if that's fine, but let's see when they can come down, if they're comfortable coming down, and if so, let's put this into motion. Now we'll hear from the public. Mrs. Newhart.
And Mayor, can I have a clarification? Since you guys were talking about also a Zoom presentation to the community, and Frank brought up a good point about people outside. We can't have more than 10 people in a gathering. I just wanted to bring that back up because I don't want you guys to expect something that cannot happen.
So we're going to stream, like Isaac said, I believe we're all in agreement, like an advertising with a little, so that we can put it and stream it. And then I guess we're going to have face-to-face. I think we could.
Stephanie, if I may, you can stagger groups of 10. Just like have everybody sign up who's coming and stagger groups of 10. Make, maybe 30-minute sessions with 10 people at a time, spread all out. And I'm sure we're responsible enough to handle it appropriately.
Let me make sure, but hold on, one thing, everybody has to understand, the 10 people also includes any of us there and or including the candidate and including anybody else that we have there from staff. So I'm just telling you, you're talking about a handful of people.
Okay, I'm trying to make sure you understand that having the Zoom video, having the questions, and having the candidates answer on Zoom is all possible. Having it broadcast at the park is possible. Having it be interactive from the park, it's not possible. So those 10 people that are going to be there, we have limitations of what we can do with our equipment. We can only stream from the chambers. Okay, so we cannot go out to the park and stream from there. So if people are going to be at the park watching whatever's going on Zoom, which I think was the original intent, now Frank has said that there can be no more than 10 people. I don't see how we can rotate them because they're going to miss part of the Zoom every time we rotate.
Okay, so then let's do.
That sounds like a manufactured problem to me.
It's not. We can't live stream from the park.
I thought. Yeah, but
we can't. We have to hook up to the equipment here in the chamber.
Right.
Exactly. I thought if those of us that want face-to-face, I think we gave up the whole outdoor thing.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
That's all I needed to clarify.
Yes, we gave up the whole, right. So,
Thank you.
Okay, so then now.
Actually, I'm sorry, I didn't give up that. I really don't want to meet inside in a large gathering. If it can't be outside under a tent or something, then my vote is no. Do it all digitally. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I have a point of clarification. I'm not really following this. I mean, I thought the individual council members would meet individually with the applicants, and then there would be some type of public forum coming out of the council chambers, which could be live streamed. I wasn't aware that our individual meetings are going to be live streamed.
No, I don't.
So what's the issue here?
No. Bob, the issue was that we were being told to live stream Zoom from the council chambers and then provide a way for somebody to come out to the park and watch it and participate. The problem is that we're still under the county emergency orders, no more than 10 people. So
Right.
that would make it very difficult. It won't work, basically.
Right, I
So
understand. I mean, the only thing you can do is, if you have the videos and you can replay the videos a couple of times, depending on how many people actually want to come out there. They can just replay the videos that the candidates themselves are going to prepare, hopefully.
But it's supposed to be an interactive thing where people ask questions and the candidates answer questions and not just the video.
How about we do this? How about if we give people, I don't know, till next Monday or next Tuesday to put in their questions for the candidates, and part of their advertising and whatever will be to answer those questions, since we can't have gatherings, but it allows the public to ask specific questions of each one of those candidates, and then the council will meet one-on-one with the candidates. And we will stream and put on our television the candidates, their advertisement, and their answers to the questions. How does that work for everybody?
What will be the
Fine.
step after that though? Like a group interview, or at that point we'll just
So we each do our own individual interviews with them, and then we would come and vote.
Public comment.
You need to wait a second. We're not there yet, Mrs. Newhart.
But you're voting.
Okay. No, we're not voting. We're discussing.
Why? I wasn't aware that we were going to vote that same day that we have the individual meetings.
No, we're not.
Wrong with
We're
it, but
not.
the complications. So we'll do
Yeah,
it another day. Okay.
Yeah, you will have to meet again, have a public
Right.
meeting and vote on the candidate.
Right, okay. Okay. I misunderstood that. Thank you for the
What do you think
clarification.
about that forum? The forum of where we give the public a certain amount of time to email, write in, drop off, whatever questions they have, send them to the candidates. They do their like Isaac said, their advertising with answering those questions so that it can stream, it can go on our channel, our television.
There's
and
no
so-
channel. We don't have a channel anymore. Stephanie.
on the internet, and then after all that, we can then individually meet with the 3 candidates, and then we can come back together, have a meeting, and at that time decide what we want to do. Okay, so now okay, and then after this, I'm going to go to public comments. Does everybody sort of like that idea?
Sure.
Isaac?
Yeah, I like it.
Jordan?
Yes, I like that.
Okay. Elizabeth?
I like the idea of having everyone submit their questions and then the candidate videos. I would prefer if we did like group Zoom interviews for each one individually and then just vote.
Well, then if you're not comfortable, you can just Zoom with them, but if that works, okay. Josh?
I'm still holding that I'm not comfortable unless everybody's Zooming. It's my
Okay.
thought process. I don't even see the need for the video for them to send in a video. I don't, quite honestly, the candidates, I don't care how good they are at making their own personal video. I care about how well they run a town. And to me, that's the important thing.
Okay. Kelly?
Well, it's getting a little convoluted. I understand the efforts and the safety issues. At some point, I think, we have a few members of the public who will speak, and those will probably be some of the people who would come. But if you're going to publicize for the public to send in questions or drop them off, I think that's going to delay things a little, because if you're talking about people who don't have technology readily available, then, are we going to put it in a newsletter, send letters, paper? I think I don't want to wait that long. But just please note that I do not want to gather inside. I would meet with people outside, and that's it. So you can change that vote.
Okay. So now we'll go to public comment. Mrs. Newhart.
Okay, I'm Frances Newhart. First of all, I think this whole process that you're doing is a delay. And this should not have been a special meeting. This should have been an emergency meeting. And I'm looking at the organizational chart. And after the voters, underneath that, it says the town council. And the town council is the one who chooses our town attorney. And right now we have an interim town attorney because our town attorney is being investigated for $4.1 million. We have a town manager who was recently hired. Okay, we have an interim town manager. And we have an interim town clerk. All of these people are chosen by the town council. This is not determined by the voters. Under the town manager, this is the town manager's job. There's an election going on. We have in the newspaper questions with law enforcement. We need a town manager yesterday. We need finance, budget, and accounting. We should have had the town manager yesterday. We're having budget meetings in 2 weeks. We are having an election right now. We are so mixed up here, and it's dangerous what you're doing. You keep delaying and delaying. We are having an election that nobody knows what's going on, and you're using this coronavirus. You have talented people on this council who are capable of picking a town manager last month. You do not have to suffer through all that's going on here, including in the building department, because you want to decide that, oh, it's time for voters. If this were the case, you would have put on voters for an election. Why didn't you put this on for them to decide who our new town manager? It is getting out of hand here, especially putting a town clerk as our interim town manager. We are dying here, dying. The budget, I can't wait to see what that's gonna look like. It is awful. And I hate to say I'm screaming, but you know what? The engineer, the planning and engineering, the causeway operations, the projects and public works, law enforcement, finance, budget and counting, building, zoning, and code enforcement. These are all things that the town manager is failing at this time. We need one emergency, not next month after an election. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have public comment?
Yes, I would like to talk. Linda Silver.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I would have to agree with Josh. Being a former mayor, which doesn't count, but what does count, I'm of an age where there is no way I can come out to anything, whether it's one person or 10 people. And that happens to be the law right now. And for my own personal safety, I'm not going out. But I do appreciate to be able to see on Zoom the people, the questions, and everything that you are doing to pick a new town manager. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I would, Kathleen.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, everybody. I was a little, first of all, this meeting is, for all this time, I find it very dysfunctional. But anyway, I had 4 questions that I wanted to ask. I was confused about what was really going to happen today. So maybe you have asked these questions and you have told us. But question number 1 was, what are the 2 programs of entries would you cut if the city was over budget? I wanted to ask that question of the new town manager. I wanted to ask him, what training do you have on emergency procedures? Tell me how you would evacuate seniors off of Bay Harbor Islands. How are you going to unify the city council, city employees, police officers, and the citizens of Bay Harbor on a shared vision to make the town the way it used to be? And then number 4, how are you aware of the incident of the Black student that was arrested in Bay Harbor for holding up a sign? How would you handle the media, the citizens' perception that the city is prejudiced, and the officers who arrested him? So they were the 4 questions I thought we were going to interview, and I'm sorry, I thought this was the way the communication's been really horrible. I can't wait for be quiet, Parker. I can't wait for the new town manager to come quickly. We are really, really, in dire.
That is exactly why the council wants the public to have their questions so that the 3 candidates could answer them. And so you would need to submit them because we're in COVID. And so we can't, as Frank has pointed out, we cannot have more than 10 people. So that's why I said everybody should submit their questions so that all 3 candidates can then answer those questions.
But Steph, I was wondering if any of the council had a discussion like this with the 3 that they picked or the 2 that they picked. Did they?
Yes, I can speak for myself. I have. I don't know about anybody else on the council. They'd have to speak for themselves. But I do know that all 3 of them have a lot of hurricane preparedness. I'm not going to speak for what the other councils, but I know the ones that I chose. Both of them worked in South Florida. They have experiences in all those areas. I don't know. Anybody else want to jump in?
Kathleen, I'll tell you this, from my interviews were extensive on all the candidates, including the ones that we've eliminated, but all 6 that we went through, I went through question after question, so I'm comfortable with the questions I asked.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Any other comments or concerns, public?
We don't have any other, anybody that signed up, but if anybody wishes to speak, they can unmute their devices at this time. I tried muting a few, but there's no feedback.
Yeah,
from anybody.
I just want to, I think it would be remiss for one of us to go on the record of saying that the town is running, not only is it running as it did in the past, well as it did in the past, but it's running probably, you know, as good or better than it has in the past. The town is not falling apart at the seams, and I think Marlene is doing a fine job.
I agree. Thank you, Isaac.
I second that as well.
Situation.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think Marlene, you have your marching orders. You will get back to us and publish when is the next phase of the town, the picking of the town. You'll talk to 3 candidates and you'll get back to us.
Yes, we will coordinate with Colin and we'll try to schedule everything as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
There's a
There's
second
another-
item for the meeting.
Item 2.
Mayor, if I may.
I'm
Item
sorry.
2.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a request from the Office of the Town Attorney to announce a closed session meeting to discuss the Conan Graham litigation. Frank?
Yes, I'm requesting a meeting for Friday at 9 a.m. to have a shade meeting to discuss the litigation of the town ADV Conan Graham. We have a lot of activities scheduled for next week, a trial in October, and I obtained a settlement offer that I'd like to discuss with the town on Friday. During the
Okay.
shade
I'll move that we have the shade meeting as requested by the.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Frank, did you send the calendar invitations out?
I will send it first thing tomorrow morning. I will be sending a separate Zoom meeting that we will go into for the shade meeting after we go into the public meeting on Friday. And I'll send instructions for everyone.
So I sent an email to Marlene and Alba that I would like to have a meeting about where we are in our hurricane preparedness. I think all.
We received that. We will be scheduling something soon.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks,
Motion
Marlene.
to close?
Well, I don't think we took a vote on the motion in the second, did we?
Yeah, I think we did.
No, we
Yes.
didn't. All right,
Yeah,
well,
but
aye.
is
All
everybody in
All in
consensus?
favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Ayes
Okay.
have it.
Thank you.
Thank
You,
you
Alba.
all.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Have a
Have a good evening to everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night, y'all.